number 2, that is the title of the bond. And the reason as to why I felt it is important that we get to discuss the title, it is because there is some crucial information that you can get right away from the title, even before you open that bond or get to think what the bond is all about. There is some crucial information that you can get from the title. An example of a title of a bond is this. So this is IFB1. This is IFB1 stroke 2024 stroke 8.5. Now, this title has 3 parts. This title has 3 parts. Each part, there is something that you can be able to get from it. There is some information that you can be able to get from it. The first part tells you about the type of the bond. And let me mention from this point that we majorly have 2 types of bonds. And these bonds are basically classified by whether a bond is taxable or not taxable. And by taxable, I mean that if you have ever invested in any investment avenues that give you interest, I am sure you have known that that interest that you get to earn is subject to some tax we call the withholding tax. So the 2 classes, the 2 major classes of bonds are classified on whether the interest that you earn is taxable or not taxable. So they are majorly based on taxation. And from there, we have 2 types of bonds. Let's just call them the taxable. And the bond that do not attract tax is a very famous bond that is called the infrastructure bond. Infrastructure bond. So, from these 2 types of bonds, this bond is subject to withholding tax, and this is not subject to withholding tax. So this is 0% withholding tax. And from the title, if you see IFB, this stands for infrastructure bond, meaning that this bond is not subject to withholding tax. For bonds that are subject to withholding tax, their titles will always start with the FXD1. So if you get to see a title starting with the FXD1, before you even think about that bond in length, you should know that whatever interest that you get to earn will be subject to withholding tax. But if you see IFB, it will be clear for you from the word go that that bond will not be subject to withholding tax. I hope it is clear for the first part of the title. Then for the second part, this indicates the year of issue. This is the year when this bond was issued. And if you see the bond is through 2024, it means that bond was issued in 2024. So if you are in 2020, like now, we are in, I'm recording this video on the 1st of January 2025. If we are in 2025, if you see a bond on its title with another year apart from 2025, such that you see a bond written 2023, 2022, 2020, you know that this is not a new bond that has been issued that year, but rather it is a reopening. So for all new bonds that will be issued in 2025, it should be either IFB1/2025 or FXD1/2025. So if you're interested in new bonds and you see a bond with a date, with a year, not 2025, that is not your bond, because that will be a reopening. It will not be a new bond. So the second part, we have simply said that it indicates the year when the bond was issued. Then we go to the third part. For this case is the 8.5, and this indicates time to maturity. Time to maturity, and it is in terms of years. Time to maturity can also call the duration of the bond. But I think you'll come to discuss about it in the next step, so I will not dwell much in it for now, but just get to know it is in terms of years, and it indicates the time to maturity or the duration of that bond. I hope it's clear on the title of the bond and all the information that you can gather from the title of the bond